There was a frog living in a little well, and one frog came from the sea. It jumped in. They both started doing a tete-a-tete. The well frog asked the sea frog, "The sea that you come from, how big is it? Is it the size of my well?" Where do you get valid knowledge from? Our Vedic acharyas and scriptures have said there are three pramana. The first is pratyaksh, direct evidence. You can see something, you believe it. Pratyaksham kim pramanam. Do you need a proof to let you know that you have a kangan, a bracelet on your wrist? No, your eyes will tell you it is there. But pratyaksh praman is very limited in its scope, because ultimately how much can you see? You have not even seen every house in the DFW region. And what to speak of every room of every house and every cabinet and its every drawer? Human beings have such limited abilities to see. The Nyaya Darshan talks about the Koop Manduk Nyaya. There was a frog living in a little well, and one frog came from the sea. There's one breed of frogs that lives in the sea. It jumped in. They both started doing a tete-a-tete. The well frog asked the sea frog, "The sea that you come from, how big is it? Is it the size of my well?" The sea frog said, "It's much bigger." He jumped from one side to the other and said, "Is it twice the size of my well?" Sea frog said, "Much bigger. 10 times. No, even bigger. 100 times. Or even bigger." "You liar. How can it be more than 100 times the size of my well?" So the Koop Manduk, his experience is of the Koop, lifelong. How can he think of something beyond? Likewise, your pratyaksh praman is so limited in its scope. So the second praman comes in, which is anumana pramana, inferential evidence. You have not seen it, but you can infer that there is fire on that hill. How? Parvato vahniman dhoomavatvat, Nyaya Darshan says. There is smoke coming out. Can't you see the smoke? You can't see the fire, but you can see the smoke. So you know the relationship. Yatra yatra dhoomaha tatra tatra agnihi. Wherever there is smoke, there must be a fire. And if you can see the smoke, it indicates that there is a fire there. So inferential evidence is used everywhere in science. Scientists have not yet directly perceived the Higgs boson, but they have come to the inference. Based on their calculations, there must be this God particle. As you only believe what you can see, then you will have to reject the Higgs boson. So this is inferential evidence. But our Vedas say even this has a limited scope, because it depends upon the relationship between two things. If your aim is to know about God, you are unaware of the relationship of the world and God. How will you use inferential evidence? Actually, even by inferential evidence, you can come to the conclusion there is a God. Newton used it. You know, the great Newton was a firm believer in God. And he looked on science as a way to deepen and nurture his devotion. He had a fellow scientist who believed in the Big Bang, that a dhamaka happened and the world got created. This was the philosophy we were taught in schools. Newton thought, let me open the eyes of this fellow scientist. He created a small model of the solar system and set it in motion in his study room. And when his friend came and looked, he said, wow! Now, that kind of a model in the early 18th century was quite a thing. He said, who made it? Newton said, nobody made it. But then how did it come about? Newton said, all I know is I was working on my table and there was a bang. I looked and it was made. His friend said, are you crazy? Are you trying to sell me the idea that this astonishing apparatus got made by a bang? Newton said, my dear fellow, you are unwilling to believe that a small model of the solar system can be made by a bang. And you want me to believe the actual thing got made by a bang? Isn't it just commonsensical that if this requires a creator, then the real thing must also require a creator? A few years ago, the director of the National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. was Francis Collins. And he was also the head of the first Human Genome Project. When they tried to decode the human gene, the DNA. And finally, when it was done, he took the stage along with the then President Bill Clinton and announced, we have succeeded. Subsequent to that, he wrote a book called Language of God, which somehow came into my hands. And I was intrigued. He says, having decoded the genome, we are now playing God and should have no need for such an entity. But my faith in God has only deepened, because the genome is so complex. It is all around crumpled up. If you were to straighten it, it would go all the way to the sun and come back 2 times. And the information in the genome, if you were to put it down on letter size sheets and stack them, they would reach the height of the Washington Monument. And if you started speaking them at the rate of 3 syllables a second, it would require 33 years to complete. This kind of creation, it could not have happened by a bang. So inferential evidence, but our Vedas invariably go beyond. They say when it comes to deep philosophy, this is also insufficient. You need a third one. And what is that? Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means there is the absolute authority who knows the absolute truth. You go and ask the authority, sir, what is the truth? Please tell me. And that guru or that scripture or God himself say, this is the truth. This is Shabda Praman. Like, how do you decide who is my father? There's only one way. The mother is the authority. Mummy, who is my father? Mummy says, beta, this is your father. Okay, no dispute. Shabda Praman. Likewise, in matters of God and the absolute truth, the scriptures are the Shabda Praman.